Hey guys, welcome back to Tip Top Sports. Today we are looking at part 2 of our two-part series of the worst NBA moves from the past 5 years. Let's jump right into the countdown. At number 10, we have the New York Knicks signing Joakim Noah. The myriad foils of the Phil Jackson era in New York could fill a mile-long list, but much of the harm he wrought as a president of basketball operations occurred between March 2014 and our 2016 offseason cutoff point. The drama of Carmelo Anthony, Derek Fisher's appointment as head coach, unbalanced deals, and rampant acquisitions of primarily washed-up former LA Lakers, all is here in all of its franchise-crippling ignominy. Before leaving in June 2017, Jackson signed Joakim Noah to what was arguably the worst free agent deal of the 2016 offseason. That was the year of the great cap spike, thus even a move that could be considered the worst of that summer would be considered historically poor. Roger Sherman of The Ringer reacted on Noah's signing. The $72.6 million deal for Noah was certainly the worst free agent signing of the 2016 offseason. He averaged 5 points per game while missing about half the season with a knee injury. This could have been expected if the Knicks had watched Noah in 2015-16 when he averaged 4.3 points per game while missing 2/3 of the season with a shoulder injury. He appears to have forgotten basic basketball skills. To be fair, the Defensive Player of the Year in 2013-14 was worth that much money at one point. In 2016, however, there was a blatant and severe overpayment. Noah appeared in 7 games for the Knicks in 2017-18, averaging 1.7 points per game, and was waived with $38 million remaining on his contract before the 2018-19 season. At number 9, the Oklahoma City Thunder trading for Carmelo Anthony. The OKC Thunder's refusal to give James Harden a max extension nearly a decade ago ended in a trade that sent the future MVP to the Houston Rockets. If there's one thing that haunts OKC's past, it's that crucial penny-pinching decision. It's been far more difficult to locate a huge blunder from the front office run by Sam Presti during the last 5 years. OKC had essentially been victory machine until this year's rebuild, built around 2 prior MVPs whose departures did not ruin the franchise. Loss of Kevin Durant in free agency in 2016 was a blow, but the Thunder have typically come out on top when losing stars. They acquired Paul George, watched him finish third in MVP voting, and then moved him along with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for a large haul of choices. Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul both returned a comparable asset cash. Even the ill-fated Carmelo Anthony trade, which occurred before the former star had accepted his late career place as a role player, didn't go as planned. After just one season, OKC was able to deal him for a good price. But we're sticking with that decision because it's one of the few teams' recent miscalculations. When OKC acquired Anthony, he was far from a star and well into his decline. It's easy to forget that he was effectively out of the league shortly after. Melo eventually settled into a supporting position and has since been on 2 more solid seasons as a backup scorer. But OKC had high expectations for him in 2017. At number 8, the Orlando Magic signing Bismack Biyombo. There's no residual consequences from Bismack Biyombo's 4-year $72 million contract, except for the $5.6 million that Orlando Magic will pay Timothy Mozgov this season. Biyombo had just finished a fantastic playoff run with the Toronto Raptors, and teams were eager to use their contract space to sign him that summer. Biyombo brought rim protection to the table, which was in fashion at the time. He was coming off a season which he averaged 5.5 points and 8 rebounds, which was a career best. To figure out that type of production is worth $72 million, you'll need some Olympic-level mental gymnastics. Nikolai Vucevic, a 2-time All-Star, was also a member of the Magic squad. In 2015-16, he averaged 18.2 points and 8.9 rebounds in his second straight year as a quality starter. The Magic didn't need a second young center, and Biyombo's pay was excessive. Biyombo was traded to the Hornets for Mozgov after 2 seasons with the Magic, who was then dismissed and stretched. At number 7, the Philadelphia 76ers trading up for Markelle Fultz. The Ben Simmons stories, which has cast a pall over the Philadelphia 76ers, could have been prevented. All they needed to do in 2017 was choose Jason Tatum with the first overall pick. Instead, the Sixers traded up to get Markelle Fultz in that year's draft, sending the number 3 pick and a future first-round pick to the Boston Celtics with some complicated protections. Fultz's stint with the Sixers was marred by injuries, intrigue, and eventually disappointment. After only 33 games over the course of a season and a half, the Washington product was traded to the Orlando Magic. A series of misfortunes might not have occurred if the Sixers had picked Tatum after moving up. Tatum, a 2-time All-Star and arguably one of the league's top 15 players, has had far more success than Fultz. He, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid would have been a terrifying combination, far more so than Fultz-Simmons-Embiid combo. More importantly, Tatum's presence may have allowed the Sixers to scale down their commitment to Simmons. Philadelphia essentially favored Simmons above Jimmy Butler, according to Embiid, which is an apparent error in hindsight. Simmons may not have placed as high on the team hierarchy if Tatum had joined the fold, presenting a totally possible scenario of a Sixers club based around Tatum, Butler, and Embiid. That's a complete and total wrecking crew. At number 6, we have the Phoenix Suns selecting Jalen Smith over Tyrese Haliburton. Criticism of the Phoenix Suns' recent draft picks is complicated by the team's status as a finals participant in 2021 and contender in 2021-22. We don't know what would have happened if they had picked someone else at number 4 in 2016 or Josh Jackson at number 4 the following year. Even their selection of DeAndre Ayton over Luka Doncic is based on the premise, and everyone else in the 2018 class, Chris Paul and Mikal Bridges, may never have been traded for the Suns if Luka Doncic was in the fold. Perhaps even Devin Booker's development would have been stifled as a second banana to Doncic during his early years of basketball. Basically, any substantial mistake in the recent history of the Suns will impact the direction of the franchise and likely lead to something different than last year's title shot. Tyrese Haliburton was drafted second in the 2020 draft, while Jalen Smith was drafted first. A supplementary ball handler and scorer like Haliburton would have bolstered Phoenix's winning score at the time. His stellar performance as a Rookie of the Year candidate has put him in prime position for stardom. As a rookie, Smith appeared in 27 regular season games and played a total of 18 minutes in the postseason. No question, Haliburton would have done a lot more for the Suns' title hopes if he had ever been on the roster. In spite of Smith's lack of contribution, the Suns were on verge of achieving their ultimate goal of winning. Phoenix may be defending champions right now with Haliburton, though. At number 5, the 2016 offseason of the Portland Trail Blazers. Even though the Trail Blazers' 2016 buying spree appears to have been devastating in retrospect, it actually had little impact on the team. After matching a $75 million offer for Allen Crabbe, Portland gave Evan Turner $70 million and Myers Leonard a 4-year, $41 million deal. Although the team spent a lot of money, the Blazers finished the season with a record of 500 and advanced to the playoffs in 2016-17. Turner, who was never a starter on his new contract, Crabbe, who was traded a year later, or Leonard, who was traded the following year, have not been to the playoffs since, never averaged more than 5.9 points per game for Portland after signing that contract. Things can only go so wrong when you have Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, both of whom were named most improved players last season. It's a tiny consolation, but the Blazers' seasons could have ended a lot worse. Chandler Parsons chose to sign with the Memphis Grizzlies rather than accept the best offer that they could have given him. At number 4, we have Marvin Bagley III selected by the Sacramento Kings. Luka Doncic's selection of Marvin Bagley III at number 2 would still be a nightmare for the Sacramento Kings, even if he hadn't been taken with the next choice. Even though Bagley averaged 14.5 points per game and 7.7 boards per game during the course of his first 3 seasons, he's never seriously considered for a rookie-scale contract extension by the Kings, unlike other clubs' 2018 lottery picks. Bagley is one of the poorest defenders in the NBA, and he's particularly vulnerable to big men and small forwards. The Kings, a terrible defensive club in each of their last 3 years, have been especially bad with Bagley on the floor. His awareness and anticipation are both significantly behind the curve. His lack of success on the court doesn't bode well for his chances of being a starter on a perennial lottery team. After his rookie contract expires, he'll be a little more than minimum salary player, and Bagley's prospects of staying on the Sacramento's roster beyond the season are practically none. At number 3, we have Kawhi Leonard and the San Antonio Spurs. Even after 3 years, 2 teams and a title, it isn't clear what caused Kawhi Leonard to be traded from the San Antonio Spurs 3 years ago. Even while we're aware that there was a miscommunication between his team and the organization over his health and readiness to play, it's hard to say for sure what caused this rupture. For the sake of the fairness, it is plausible that Leonard's desire to play in LA would have led the team to departure from the Spurs anyways. To be sure, San Antonio traded away one of the league's top players in 2018, erasing any hope for success for a team that had spent the greater part of 2 decades chasing championships. In return, the Toronto Raptors received DeMar DeRozan, Jacob Poeltl, and a protected first-round draft pick, a bargain for a player who would go on to lead Toronto to the NBA Finals in 2016. At number 2, we have Aaron Bynes signed by the Toronto Raptors. Since 2016, the Toronto Raptors have consistently ranked high in the draft, snagging Pascal Siakam at number 27 in 2016 and OG Anunoby at number 23 the following year. Even if they haven't drafted a valuable young player, they've been able to obtain it elsewhere. Fred VanVleet, an undrafted player, is a great illustration of this. With Kawhi Leonard joining the team in a trade that accumulated in a championship, it's hard to think of any other trades that are worth worrying about. It's almost as if Masai Ujiri has a plan. Toronto made a mistake by signing Aaron Baynes in the 2020 offseason, though. As a result of his inability to reproduce the 3-point shooting he showed in Phoenix last year, Baynes lost his starting center position. At number 1, the Washington Wizards Supermax contract extension with John Wall. John Wall's 4-year, $171 million Supermax contract isn't the worst deal in the NBA, but it's definitely in the top 3. For the Wizards, Wall's slide was especially painful because it wasn't expected at the time. As he approached his 30s, Wall was a suspect shooting speed-based guard. His career highs were 23.1 points per game, 10.7 assists per game, and 2 steals per game on 45.1% shooting. It was also the Wizards' greatest winning streak in 4 decades with 49 victories. Only 32 games were played in 2018-19 compared to 41 in 2017-18. He was sidelined for the whole 2019-20 season after tearing his Achilles tendon. Despite paying Wall $38.2 million, the Wizards received nothing in return for their investment. The Rockets traded him in a 2023 lottery-protected first-round selection to get Russell Westbrook. Well guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Tip Top Sports, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching.